This Late Night Linux Family podcast is made possible by our patrons. Go to latenightlinux.com/support for details of how you can join them. Support us on Patreon for access to ad-free episodes and early releases. That's latenightlinux.com/support. Hello and welcome to episode 378 of Late Night Linux, recorded on the 23rd of March 2026. I'm Joe, and with me are Phelim.
I have a new phone.
Graham.
Good evening.
And Will.
Hello.
It's not a new phone, Phelim, it's an old Pixel.
It's an old new phone to me, though, even though I haven't actually done it yet, but I will. But I also am crying because my old phone won't be there anymore.
What a shame. Before we get going, a plug that OggCamp is in just over a month. So this is in Manchester on April 25th and 26th. It's a free culture unconference. So there is a scheduled track, which is now public, but you can just turn up and propose a talk and do it if people want you to. And there'll be social events and drinking and that sort of thing as well. So yes, come to Manchester, April 25th and 26th. Everything is at oggcamp.org, all the details. And while I'm at it, just another plug for the piss up that we're going to have on Saturday, the 27th of June, from 6 p.m. until late at the Shipwrights Arms, which is just next to London Bridge in London. That's much less formal. There's no talks or anything like that. It's just go to the pub, have a few drinks, have a laugh. That's it.
Are they expecting us at the pub? Like, are we going to have a corner to be in, or is it a lot more freeform?
It's very much more freeform. I didn't want to have any pressure or anything. There's room outside the pub. It kind of spills out onto the kind of big pedestrian bit outside the station. And when I was there in October, there was buskers there and stuff. I don't know if they'll be there on a Saturday night. Probably not. But anyway, if the pub is too full, then we can spill out of it. It'll be fine. So yeah, links to both of those in the show notes. Let's get on with some news then. And it's deja vu. We talked a couple of weeks ago about age verification and age verification specifically coming to operating systems and Linux. Well, that is starting to actually happen now. So I thought we should talk about it again. Some distros are saying, no, we're not doing this. Other distros are saying, yes, we're going to do this. A lot of the bigger distros are kind of saying, we don't know yet, even though one of these laws has actually come into force in Brazil. So they need to get their finger out, I reckon. And a pull request has gone into System D to add the mechanism to declare your age, even if there's no verification of that. And this is quite controversial, it seems.
Yeah, we talked about this. I'm still uncomfortable with it, but actually I thought of another solution. I think if you don't put your age in, it should default to Unix time 0.
That's convenient, isn't it, for you?
Yes, conveniently similar, isn't it? Yeah.
I think it should be a Boolean, if anything. I don't think anybody should have that data. The only way I would accept this type of data would be if you can take your passport to your government institution and they can give you a key that does not know who you are but is signed by them in some sort of I don't understand cryptography way, but it means that nobody who knows who you are versus you have a thing that says that it has been checked by somebody who is legit, and then you could plug it in and have it like one of those YubiKeys where you can click a button to say it's me pressing it, because any company is going to lose the data. Whoever it is, they're going to lose the data, and no company, no open source project could take that on. So they'd have to get a third party to manage it if it's going to be an actual official look at ID and scan your arse or whatever it is that they want to do. And they shouldn't have that data anywhere else. The only people who should know that is your government.
And that's what I mean by, it's not that I want to give them the data. I just feel like we've got all the tools to not give them the data and still make it look like they've got it.
I don't know that there is a requirement to have that information. I think you are just self-declaring that you are in a particular age group. And if that is true, then you could just have a checkbox that says, I am over 18, and either you check it or you don't. If there isn't any validation going on that you are how old you say you are, the idea of asking somebody to put their date of birth in is meaningless anyway, because people can just type any old crap in there. So I don't really understand how this is going to be enforced without collecting personal data.
Well, that's the crux of this, right? That at the moment, certainly the California law, which is the one that seems to be driving this primarily, is written in such a way that there's no verification. It is declaration, essentially, of your age, which arguably is a good thing, because if you've got kids using a computer, you may wish to declare that they are not over 18. I mean, they're going to get around it one way or another if they want to, but it's not particularly harmful in of itself. But that's not the argument. The argument is, well, slippery slope, isn't it? They start with this, we all comply, and then they push the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And before you know it, you are having to upload your ID somewhere.
What happens if you live in a place where, say, drinking pints is illegal, and then they have to swear a declaration that you aren't drinking pints while you're using a computer? Absolutely nonsense law, but why is that my problem as a developer of a piece of FOSS software outside of that country? I can understand if you are a company based in California, you have to comply with California law, but why as a developer over here should I care?
Recently, 4chan were fined by Ofcom, who are the broadcast standards agency in the UK. And in reply, they sent a picture of a rabbit or something. I don't know. Like, their argument is your British laws do not apply to us in the US. So in which case, vice versa, right?
Well, except not. I mean, that is a very, very naive thing that 4chan are doing.
But why? I mean, take it to an extreme of, okay, that is because they are maybe American based and you guys live in the UK, but what laws should I also be complying with regards to wearing of shorts, say, from Azerbaijan? Nothing against Azerbaijan. I don't know if they hate shorts, but what if they do?
Right. But that's different, isn't it?
No.
The reason that 4chan are being naive here is because they have a website that is hosted in America, probably.
Probably not, I would say.
Well, it's probably like CDNs and stuff, but let's just say you have a website that is hosted in the US, right? And so therefore we are subject to US jurisdiction, First Amendment, all the rest of it. But if I in the UK can access your website, then you have some responsibility to comply with the laws. Or if you do what 4chan are doing, which is basically say, fuck you, then what's going to happen? The ISPs are going to be ordered to block 4chan. I mean, this is what we saw Imager do voluntarily. Instead of comply with the UK laws and deal with age verification bullshit, they just said, well, fuck you then, and just geo-blocked the whole range. So, you know, I think that's ultimately going to happen to 4chan in fairly short order.
But I think that's going to happen loads of places because, I mean, well, what if we're taking an example from something that is from our side fairly straightforward. We know where you're from, we know where you're going, but like a small country somewhere in the middle of Asia, say, decides it's illegal for whatever, and then we all have to comply with that. So we're going to have to comply with all laws from all countries in a almost, well, exponential, it's probably more than exponential level of laws that we're going to have to comply with. You can't do that. You can't run a business like that.
Well, yeah, and that's the argument against this System D thing, right? Is that you've got a System D unit, let's say, for one particular piece of legislation right now. But then if you have one for every bit of legislation around the world in all 50 states in America and whatever the hundreds of countries there are around the world, that's just going to get ridiculous. But what does it look like to not comply with these laws? I mean, it depends on the territory. If it's some small country in Africa or Asia, let's say, that isn't economically particularly powerful and politically particularly powerful, then fuck it, like, you know, it'll be fine. But if California or the EU, let's say, or America or the UK, whatever it is, these relatively powerful and prosperous places bring in this legislation, you as a website publisher or a developer of a small operating system, what choice have you got but to comply or to try and take some sort of moral stand on it? But what does that look like? I mean, in the show notes, I'll put a link to a post on Mastodon from Danielle Foray, who is the lead dev of Elementary OS. And she says, when you tell me to just not implement age declaration, Do you understand you're asking me to risk thousands of dollars in fines? Which means realistically, the only way for me to not follow the law is to close my business and stop making elementary OS, etc., etc. It's one thing if you are Canonical or Red Hat / IBM or SUSE and you've got a team of lawyers, but if you are an independent small shop, let's say distro like elementary OS, it's a shit situation that you're in. What can you do?
Well, I mean, what stops me if I was Supreme Leader of Ireland to say, I demand that all Linux distros run KDE, otherwise I will fine you. I mean, like, it's a nonsense if you think about it in those terms.
It is nonsense.
Exactly. Much like those other laws, though, you can't expect me to give a shit about your law when you live thousands of miles away and I don't care about you. I can completely see Danielle's point. I mean, I'm not saying that that's wrong, but I don't see how you could please everybody. You cannot please everybody, and somebody else will have a law.
Well, that's why I think the System D implementation is, for now, probably quite a good idea, because so many distros use System D that if we just standardize around that, then distros are going to inherit it for free, essentially.
Until somebody says, no, lads, you're taking a piss there. No, it needs to be certified. In which case, you either do it or you don't.
Yeah, verified rather than just declared.
Yeah. Which will happen.
Yeah, slippery slope and all the rest of it. I mean, it's just proper shit times for the internet, essentially. It's like, it feels like it's over, isn't it? This 20-odd years that we had of good times online are just fucking over.
How are they going to apply this to an existing version of Windows? Like, is it going to become illegal to run Windows XP on your computer?
I think it should be anyway, so I'm all for that.
What about your ZX Spectrum with a modem connected?
That's 3 episodes in a row, I think, at this point.
No, it's an Amiga 1200, Graham, that you've got?
I've got 4000 and a 500.
4000, yeah. Sorry.
Oh,
get it right.
Yeah,
how dare you say that to his face?
Yeah, how are they going to do age verification on that?
Well, it can't even do SSL, so I agree, yes.
Just upload your passport in the clear. It'll be fine.
But what worries me about these discussions is we complain, we're right to complain, but what can we actually do? I think that's what's so depressing. And I have to agree with Joe. I think this is the end of the internet as we knew it, and maybe we can create something else, but...
Yeah, just nobody let the fucking big squares in, though, if we do it next time.
I think that's the mistake we made.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should have kept this kind of... Even though I remember saying a long time ago that, everybody should be able to access the internet and we should make it as easy as possible, I think I was wrong.
That was a mistake. I've said this many times on air before. Smartphones, that was where it went wrong. It used to be hard to get onto the internet, relatively. You had to have some level of knowledge. And then they put fucking smartphones in the faces of idiots. And then we get Brexit, Trump, and now this shit.
I mean, it's funny because it's true.
It is true.
The internet, the web, are direct causes, in my opinion, of things like these sort of far-right movements springing up and Brexit going through and all that kind of thing.
Yeah. And then, these idiots who are like, oh, we must think of the children. Parents who can't fucking control their kids and want the state to do it for them. There are these grieving parents and, their kids have been on these platforms that have encouraged them to, unalive, as they call it these days. And that's bad and everything. But at the same time, why do I have to fucking tell my Linux distro that I'm over 18, for fuck's sake?
A rhetorical question, I know. But, the reason behind this is that the people who make the laws don't understand the problem and don't understand the implications of what it is that they're suggesting. And I think that the real problem is that the man is collectively out of touch with how anything works.
Yeah. And more importantly, is lobbied. And that's an aspect of this that we haven't got to. And that is that...
Shite bags.
Where did all this come from, this age verification shit? Seemingly, it's come from Meta.
The headquarters here, this is my problem, isn't it? Do I need to go fix this later tonight? Okay.
Yes, you need to go fix it by writing a strongly worded letter to them, Phonim, yes. But that basically says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And I don't think any of us are surprised. because this is all about control.
But why is it? Why is Meta interested in you checking a box on a computer to say that you are over a particular age? Is it purely because they then take no responsibility for anything?
It's a bit of that. And it's also when you do have to start uploading your ID and everything, that's giving away loads of your personal data. It's not like they like your personal data or anything, is it?
Nah. I can't I don't know anymore. I have no faith in humanity, but surely people would say, yeah, you know what, on reflection, it's not worth scanning my passport and giving it to Facebook in order to see adverts generated by AI. But I guess that's just wrong. They fucking love it.
I think ultimately this is about establishing a unique identifier for each one of us that's welded to each of our devices in a way that we can't escape from. The fear-mongering put on the government is that this means that they can track us and stop whatever needs to be stopped, although that's not the case. But I think the opportunity then for companies like Meta is that they finally have this one-to-one relationship between our unique identity and the way that they track us and build models for us.
Yeah, I think that's about the size of it, unfortunately.
We have joked about this before, but we'll just start our own internet.
Yeah.
BBSs and FidoNet.
Yeah. I mean, partly that's what the dark web it kind of is, right? But ours will be different somehow.
A bit less seedy, maybe. Well,
that's one way of doing it, I suppose.
Mucky JPEGs.
Yeah. Oh, no. I mean, that's fine. But I mean...
Okay, this episode is sponsored by Automox. If you're evaluating endpoint management solutions, the real risk isn't which tool you choose, it's choosing one without a proven blueprint for success. Because while most endpoint tools promise automation, next to none promise outcomes. That's why Automox introduced Turnkey results. Turnkey removes the uncertainty that holds endpoint automation back. It delivers a personalized results blueprint, so Automox is configured and operated to achieve real outcomes from day one. No trial and error, just clarity. Each blueprint is validated across millions of endpoints managed by Automox and tailored to your specific environment, your risk tolerance, and your operational goals. Instead of guessing how aggressive to be with automation or how to configure policies safely, start with a plan you can trust. And you can choose to implement the plan yourself or have Automox do it for you. Either way, you get faster time to value, lower risk, and predictable endpoint outcomes. Automox Turnkey results. Know the plan, trust the result. Learn more at www.automox.com. We recently talked about Android developer verification, which is Google's thing where you basically can't sideload apps that are not verified with them or the developers of which are not verified with them. Well, they have finally told us how it's going to work if you want to do what they're calling advanced flow, which is basically what I asked for. Give me scary warnings, bury it a few layers deep, but give me the choice to install what I want on my Android phone, my stock Android phone. This doesn't apply to custom ROMs, of course. And they've sort of done this, except for one kind of caveat, and that is you have to jump through a few hoops, but then you have to wait 24 hours between saying that you want to install unverified apps and then actually being able to do it. They say that is to avoid people being scammed, which I feel is kind of good in a way, but then it does feel like unnecessary headaches and friction. But I think that if this is it, if this is where they stop making it a real pain in the ass, but still making it possible, I think I'm fine with that.
That 24 hours worries me. I think that's a psychological mind trick to stop building the case totally against this in the future. I mean, I think of the times like buying a house, and I've had the mortgage money in my bank, and I've had to do things like this with my banking app with huge life-changing sums of money, and they don't have as much protection as this.
Yeah, but installing NewPipe, that's pretty serious shit, man.
Yeah, yeah.
You're not going to see any ads. You're going to have basically premium YouTube for free.
So it seems incongruous with the threat, and that makes me worried. Even though they're kind of saying, look, we're listening and you will be able to do it and you'll be able to make it indefinite to start off with, although 7 days for your own safety by default. I don't like it and I don't feel good about it.
No, it doesn't feel like true freedom, does it? To do what you want with your own device.
I think it's great because it isn't your own device, it's Google's device. And at least this is just letting you know who's in charge of your device that you don't own. So I'm totally fine with this. It's 24 hours now. Pray I don't raise it higher.
Yeah, essentially. Well, that's all right for you, isn't it? You're not going to be affected by this once you get that Pixel 6a and wipe it and get a terrible, terrible camera on it.
Get a just fine camera showing pictures like they really are, not AI nonsense that your phone does, and flood fill and...
Well, one great feature of Image, in the mobile app at least, is you get that kind of 1 year ago today, 5 years ago today, whatever, you can kind of look through, and I look at all the cats that we fostered and
that's quite cool.
All the rest of it, and like, oh shit, COVID lockdown photos and, you know, bare supermarkets and everything. And it gets to a point, I don't know, it must have been several years ago, and I just see the quality just drop through the fucking floor back when I was on Lineage versus once I got onto a stock ROM with a decent camera. So I'm not having it that it's, I mean, yes, they're AI manipulated and all the rest of it, but the quality of the camera is so much better on the stock ROM. And I know you can sideload the camera and all the rest of it, but that was very, very buggy when I did that on Lineage.
It's not worth my freedom. I'm prepared for bad photos, but free photos.
Right. Well, freedom isn't free and all the rest of it. Well, anyway, I think that this is like broadly positive of an outcome, but it could have been a lot better and it could get a lot worse very easily if they start changing these rules down the road, which they probably will end up doing. But hopefully not. Let's be positive and optimistic. Yes, we're going to have control over our own devices. Excellent. Thanks, Google. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, maybe one thing we can do here is all of us, as many as possible of us, use it. Make sure we use it.
Oh, yeah. Well, for new pipe alone, I'm going to be using it. I could not do without new pipe, frankly. The Free Software Foundation Europe, the FSFE, put up a post. 450 FSFE supporters affected. Payment provider Nexi cancelled us. This is a bit of a shit situation they're in, so I thought it would be good to give them a shout out as they are kind of the good FSF, as it were.
Yeah, I was going to say we should also point that out because, yeah.
Yeah, this is not Stallman's FSF. This is the European one. And so they basically had a bunch of people supporting them and then their payment provider cancelled on them because they asked for some really unreasonable data on the supporters, which they said, no, fuck you. And then they just cancelled them. So, yeah, it seems like you have to manually resubscribe to them, essentially. And, you know, they obviously are relying on that regular income. So if you were supporting them before, then check your email and or go to the website and find out about it.
Yeah, I mean, that company wanted their usernames and passwords of people who log in. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that was just dodgy, wasn't it? Something not right there at all. But yeah, link in the show notes. Let's do a quick KDE and GNOME corner. GNOME or something. I don't know. I need to workshop that. Anyway, the KDE one, this week in Plasma, press and hold for alternative characters.
I think this is really cool. It's obviously a feature of mobile phones since, like, Nokia's. But I think I have never really held down a key in a text editor and demanded that a load of E's flash across the screen repeatedly. Much nicer that a pop-up choose a different type of E would come up, especially if you're doing, say, French or even Irish characters, whatever. So a nice way to get access to that. I thought it was quite cool. And so that's coming in Plasma 6.7.
Right. But of course, all that is dwarfed by the huge release that is GNOME 50, codenamed Tokyo. And you actually put this in, Phelim. So you've been really interested in this and you're going to be really enthusiastic about it.
Oh, I was super interested. Super interested. I just thought it was fair that we should, you know, throw a bit of love that direction.
Yeah. I do like this screen time thing. I mean, it's not something I would personally use, but you can set it so that it will lock you out, so, you know, lock your kid out after a certain amount of screen time or whatever, and you can be in full control of that. You can bypass it you know, if you've got admin and all the rest of it.
Big G oppressing like usual. You wouldn't get that in KDE.
Well, it's choice, isn't it? It's choice for parents and stuff. And, screen time is a big problem for kids, is my understanding. I don't know. I don't care. I haven't got any kids. But, I know my sister-in-law, for example, she limits the kids' screen time and wants them to do more wholesome stuff. And so if it was built into the OS properly, like this with GNOME, that might be useful for her. As it happens, they're all using KDE, unfortunately.
Good for them.
Yes. But anyway, there's loads of other cool stuff in this. But yeah, you're right, Fairnim. In the interest of fairness, we should promote GNOME 50 equally with KDE stuff.
Oh, whoa. Equally, that's too much.
Right, well, we better get out of here then. We'll be back next week when who knows what it'll be. But until then, I've been Joe.
I've been Phelim.
I've been Graham.
And I've been Will.
See you later.